or stats or something. How was your All-Star break and were you able to make any progress towards what you had planned?
I do this. Most of my years here. I get in my Jeep. I take my dog. I go solo to Portland, Maine. It's where I was raised, and I get a place to stay in the Old Port district and just spread my stuff out. I go visit my 85-year-old parents in the morning. I come back and I do this just part of my all-star routine, and just spread stuff out and just load up and do work. And then it's got great restaurants in the city of Portland, if anybody's ever been. An incredibly high density of great restaurants in a really kind of cool part of the planet. And I got the stuff done that I needed to get done. I hope that interests people. It was really cold. Snowed a few times, and it's where I was raised.
Have you made a decision on now whether they'll stay out of the starting lineup? Or?
I think for the moment we're going to try to grow that rotation, as you saw against the Clippers. With 27 games left, my mindset is to, take this next period of time, 7, 10, whatever games, and really get precise and purposeful with our rotation, and then take that run home and polish it up. And I think that 27 games is an eternity by NBA standards. And so there'll be a portion of what I just said that we want to crystallize the rotation, give thought and reward competition to some of the things that are still competitive. And then in that run home, final 20 games, 15 games, just tighten stuff up. And in my experience doing this, there is ample enough time to pull off what I just said.
So with tightening stuff up, Brett, does that mean that you're going to go with one set starting group, or is that fifth spot rotational for you and maybe more dependent on matchups?
I think at times it'll be dependent upon matchups. To think it's going to be erratic, I don't think that. I think in the rare case like there's something that's pretty clear, you'd have to think it deeply through. For instance, like let's say you go with Gasol and Ibaka, what are you going to do there as an example? Indiana's got two legitimate bigs. What do you do there as an example? And I feel like that it's I'm not married to it as a be-all and end-all. It does interest me the most, and so I intend to pursue what you all saw against the Clippers more than not.
You guys have tangible goals in terms of a position you want to get to? Like, how do you approach that, Brett?
Like in my head, I know. Really, in my perfect world, I know what I want. In relation to declaring that to the world, I will not. I will declare to everybody here that over all my years, it's still, it's your health, it's your spirit that equals your form. It's your health, it's your spirit that equals your form. And it's about playing good basketball. And we for sure want to play at home as much as we can. And somewhere with all those thoughts, you can craft your own sort of notion of what that means. But those are truths. Those things that I just said, I've learned are kind of non-negotiable truths that steer me the most.
Did you see any of the back and forth between Ben and Joe at the All-Star game? Did it use you at all?
It doesn't surprise me. It kind of is newsworthy because there's so much talk about, can they coexist? How do they play together? We're going to play fast. We're going to play slow. And they coexist as it relates to people get along and coexist just fine. And it's true. Sometimes, Ben's just a runaway train, and lately he's been this wrecking ball. And I say that with tremendous sort of praise. Like, he's defensively and offensively, he's a wrecking ball. And he showed every bit why he belongs in an All-Star game, even with a limited kind of role that he had in Chicago. And, Joel is Joel at a post and this and that. And so the narrative kind of grows and swells for different reasons from time to time. And to be in Chicago and to, talk about one another in that environment on different teams, it didn't surprise me. I would be lying if I didn't say I was thrilled to read what I read, but it doesn't surprise me. I just think it validates to the rest of the sort of basketball hoop world that life's not as bad as sometimes it's made out to be here in Philadelphia.
In terms of Glenn and Alex Finger apparently is approved, he's going to be able to play without a screen. I guess kind of condition is he in? Can you tell after 10 days without a whole lot of structure?
I think the place that interests me the most, where I see his conditioning being incrementally getting to an elite level, is his head. I think like he is in a space that is excellent as it relates to his excitement seeing this final third home, to grab the team by the throat and lead us in a bunch of different areas. I see that conditioning being ever apparent. I've been with him a long time, and when I look at him and I talk to him and I hear his words, and we're always sort of like you would with your children, judging their body language and all that. I just think he's in a really good space. As it relates to the physical conditioning, we just went up and down hard for about 60 minutes, really up and down, up and down, up and down, saw no drop off. If you study the tape from the other night and you watch Joel Embiid run the floor and some of his rim runs just going rim to rim, we all would be saying, well, shoot, it can't get any better than that. And so I think his fitness level is fine, and I think his head space is even better.
What about the hand? Obviously, without the splinters.
I mean, I believe I'll be able to tell more when he gets double teamed at what I call the up block. When he's at looking at the basket, that right side, that upside I call it, when he's at that up block and he's forced maybe to pass more with his left hand, which used to be all bandaged up, I used to get worried in that environment where people come hard, looking to whack it or double team him from that floor spot. I look forward to seeing him pass from that floor spot. It's easier on the other side, the downside with his right hand, and I think that's where it'll stand out, Marcus, probably the most for me to see the difference of no wrap and one that used to be wrapped.
In terms of Glenn and Alec, how are they coming along, and were you able to see their role for them throughout this final 27 games? So you were able to get a couple of games in with Glenn, but
yeah, I mean, Alec needs to be put in a situation where he can score. I'm looking at him as sort of instant offense type off the bench. He can be given the ball. He can be put in pick and rolls. I like him more probably in the middle of the floor with a pick and roll than a side line with a pick and roll. I think that he can be a primary ball carrier for a while. It doesn't always have to, he can be looped up into it. I'm trying to grow Ben as a screen setter and a dynamic roller, of which he is both. And so Jay Rich can do that. I think Furcar can do that. I think Alec Burke can run a pick and roll with Ben. But I feel like his primary role and his primary asset, his skill set, is he can score, and we will ask him to do the same with us in that group coming off the bench, and it will be done in an environment, I suspect, more in middle pick and rolls than anything.
Brett, what are your thoughts on a Nets team that's been playing a little better lately?
They always give us trouble, like they got a bunch of live ball players that can just get their shots all by themselves. They play at a pace that if you're not careful can be punishing. But mostly they really, with or without Kyrie, like they can score all by themselves. They have people that can really create shots. And, for that reason, games coming out of the All-Star break are always rickety to me. You never really know what to expect. We just arrived today. We practiced today. We'll play tomorrow. And, what I do think is like the spirit of the group is great. I like our run home. And everybody's really excited, I think, to build on what we left the second, third with those 3 wins and a solid win against the Clippers.
One more. Just going back to Ben and Joe, it seemed like the last couple of games before the break, you ran a lot more actions with them. You ran that kind of snug pick and roll down low. Do you see that as you put them more actions together, maybe they're more just looking for each other even outside of that more?
I do, and like we've always, put him in that action you're talking about as an example. We've always like touched it, and at times it really was maybe one of the lowest efficient plays that we ran. And so we've persevered. Like I still think when you fast forward this thing out and they're both like 30 and 28, that it's going to be a primary look for those two. And then you just got to space those 3 shooters around it well as an example. I thought the other night, and I said this after the game, it was as fine a game as those two have partnered up and played together since I have been here. And that particular action that you're speaking about, influenced me to say that the way that I said it. We ran it maybe 9 times, 8 times, and had pretty good success with it. And we'll continue to look at that, but it's deeper than just sort of an action. I think growing those twos in that with that spirit in different places on the floor interests me a lot. Thanks, everybody.